Hello, everyone. My name is Georgina Cheney, and today my presentation is on the data warehouse that I created for the Los Angeles Police Department financial data. Now, Los Angeles is the second largest city in the United States, and it is second only to New York City. As of the last census, the population for Los Angeles was at almost 4 million residents. And with a population this large, it is understandable then that the largest department within the city of Los Angeles is the police department, also known as LAPD. Now, LAPD's motto is to protect and to serve. And in order to do that, it does need proper funding, which brings us to the problem statement. LAPD's budget has had significant cuts over the last several years. The last budget cut that was reported was in November of 2020 and was in the tune of $150 million. As you can imagine, this has impacted operations. It has also impacted public safety. There have been reports that police stations have actually closed down in some communities. Other programs have also been affected, such as the homeless outreach program that was actually disbanded, and other programs have shut down as well. So what exactly can LAPD do? Now, we all know the police department receives its funding from the city. However, given the critical nature of the services that the police department offers, it does bear an additional burden in order to make sure that the revenue streams that it brings in are maximized and any expenses are managed effectively. Which brings us to the solution that I had for LAPD. The solution that I had for LAPD was to create a fully functioning data warehouse for them that not only has the data warehouse that stores historical data, but that also has an ODS layer, which will be critical and effective for monthly end-of-month reporting. What this will do is it will keep the police department abreast on any changes in revenues or expenses for the previous month. So any negative trends can be caught early and redirected in the subsequent months. Now, the KPIs that I came up with LAPD are the expense ratio per year, the total annual amount spent per account, revenues collected year over year, and the expenses per account year over year. All these KPIs are important. However, there is a star player in the KPIs, and this is the expense ratio. Now, the expense ratio is a term that is used in finance and also in accounting with some slight variations. But mostly, the expense ratio refers to the profitability ratio of an enterprise. In a regular business where you hope to generate profits, you definitely want the expense ratio to be well under 100%. Now, for LAPD, we know they're not in business for making profit. So naturally, we were expecting the expense ratio to be over 100%. However, the main reason for tracking the expense ratio is to look at the changes in the expense ratio over the years and the disparity. For example, why is it in one year in 2017, the expense ratio was at 1,066.13%, and in another year, it was at 600%. So by giving LAPD this information at its fingertips, it will be able to look at the data and drill down, dig closer to see why there's such a major fluctuation. Now, reducing the expense ratio can help lessen the impact on operations, especially in times of fiscal emergencies, such as the budget cuts. Now, in the data warehouse, the first layer is the staging layer. So in this layer is where we will be receiving data from either one or multiple data sources. The second layer is the ODS layer, and this is the operational data store layer. So in this layer is where all the transformations will happen to the data, as well as it will hold the data for the most current month, which will be effective for end of month reporting. And lastly, we have the data warehouse layer. So this layer will hold the historical data that will also be used for analysis, for reporting, and also for trend forecasting. Now, the data model that we ended up with, we have 5 dimension tables and the 2 fact tables, one for fact revenue and the other for fact expenses. We were able to derive some visual key insights. One of the positive insights was from a KPI, which is the revenue collected year over year. So the good news is there was increase in revenue year over year in 2019, and this was by 37.34% to the highest reported revenue in the last 10 years. Coincidentally, the expense ratio for that year was also the second lowest reported. Now, the negative insight that we derived from the data was for the KPI expense ratio per year. Now, for 2017, again, this was the highest expense ratio in the last 10 years, and it came in at 1,066.13%. Again, there is a correlation. The revenues for that particular year were the second lowest reported within the decade, which contributed to that high expense ratio. So my suggestions for LAPD are, now that they have a fully functioning data warehouse, they need to utilize the ODS layer in order to keep abreast with the financial health of the department by performing analysis and report creation every month, and therefore any unwanted trends can be reversed early before the end of the year. The second suggestion that I have for LAPD is it does have a lot of programs that it supports. I can imagine there are some private sponsors that would jump at the opportunity to partner with LAPD in, for example, the homeless outreach program that had to be disbanded. So there is an opportunity there for them that they can explore. And those are my suggestions for LAPD. And that has been my presentation.